From this class, you'll get to know what is machine learning and when is it appropriate to use it. If machine learning is a car, this course will tell you what the car is and why and when to use it. But it will not tell you what the engine is and how does the engine make the car move. The example that we are going to take up is tackling the problem of spam detection. All of us know what spam emails are, those pretty annoying, irrelevant emails cluttering up your inbox and obscuring the relevant ones. Relevant ones are called ham, while the irrelevant ones are spam. Life would be easier if your email service could automatically detect and filter out spam emails even before they reach your inbox. If you're working at a large email service, say Gmail at Google, it would fall upon you to tackle the problem of spam detection. So what would you do? Essentially, you need to identify attributes of spam and ham emails by monitoring the emails that come in, and then use these attributes to classify emails. One way of doing this is using rule-based approach. You will need to define a set of rules, and if these rules are checked, you can mark an email as spam, and if not checked, you can mark it as ham. Some of these rules can be intuitive or logical, or based on domain knowledge, or on study of pattern in historical data. To do all of these, you'll have to spend weeks or months analyzing data. Based on domain knowledge, you come up with a rule that any email from a certain IP address or email ID is spam. You will go ahead and create a blacklist for all of these email IDs and block them or filter them as spam before such emails hit the inbox. Just like you have a blacklist, you could also have whitelist. And you come up with a list which is based on intuition and logic, that any email from contact of a contact is not spam. Both these rules are based on the sender of the email. You could also look into what an email contains. And you come up with a rule, any email containing a certain set of words is spam. You would identify the set of words based on your analysis of past email, study of historical patterns. So all of these rules are pretty simple. You could also set up complex rules like the recipient has not opened a particular email from a particular sender for quite a long time. So you've put in a lot of effort, undertaken a laborious task and come up with a set of rules and a set of list while defining these rules. But you realize in no time the lists that you defined have become obsolete. To keep all of these lists updated is a daunting task. This precisely is a big problem with rule-based approach. Rules are static while spammers are dynamic. Rules change very slowly and need a lot of effort for that change, while spammers, they're super fast in identifying what you're up to and quickly change their approach. For example, they'll realize that you're blocking a certain IP address and they'll start using a new one instead. What might an alternative to rule-based approach be? Probably not using data piled up by analysts. Instead, using readily available real-time data. In rule-based approach, we did not make use of this input which is easily available. The users, recipient of email, are themselves marking each email as spam or ham. If you can figure out a pattern from all the emails that are explicitly marked by the user as spam or ham, you could then check if a new email that comes in conforms to such pattern or not. If it does, then you mark such email as spam. If not, then it's ham. This is basically what a machine learning based approach is. Under the rule-based approach, we had an email which comes into an inbox. This email is passed through an algorithm which applies the rules that we had defined. And then an output, a verdict is given for spam or ham. The algorithm is the program, the email that comes in is the input, and the verdict is the output. Because the algorithms are based on a set of rules, this rule-based approach is static. Algorithm does not change based on whether it's working or not, unless you manually go and change the set of rules the algorithm is based on. The rule-based approach, the static algorithm, is missing out on the opportunity of using a readily available data the feedback of the users. So, as the super smart spammers keep altering their approach by changing their IP address or changing the words that they use, the rule based approach will slowly but inevitably fall behind. Let's move on to the machine learning based approach. The setup is similar. You'll have an email that comes in. This email is passed through an ML based classifier. Pay attention to the word classifier. It's a standard term used in machine learning. It then checks this email with a corpus. A corpus is a large body of spam and ham emails built based on the feedback of users. The program gets some input from the corpus and uses that to perform its classification of spam or not. Then it finally outputs its verdict. The key difference from the rule-based approach is that the machine learning-based approach varies its algorithm based on what the data tells it. The corpus is very dynamic and can be constantly and easily updated with the feedback of users. And this is why the ML based approach will not fall behind like the rule based approach did. Note that in our entire discussion, we've not made any statement about which approach is more complex. It could be that because of the efforts and the daunting task of keeping the list updated, the rule based approach could actually be more complex. It could be more complex and less accurate. In any case, complexity is not the defining characteristic of machine learning. It is the fact that the algorithm adjusts itself based on data. And that's what machine learning is. Now that we know what the car is and when to use it, it's time to learn how to drive. We saw that in our ML based approach, the program learned from the corpus. Learning simply meant identifying patterns from the corpus. Corpus could mean anything like documents, anything that you need to use as data. In our example, it was a large body of emails. What are some of the ways in which this learning could happen? Let's cycle through a few different techniques in the coming classes.